A brand new poll shows Donald Trump cuts into Biden's lead among young people. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back again with a new video. Today, it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election because everyone, a brand new poll was just released that shows that Donald Trump is making historical gains with young people. That is right. One of the most democratic voting blocs for decades is starting to swing towards Trump. And this isn't the first poll to show this, but this is the latest example of Trump making not just small gains, but making historical gains with this group. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now let us get into it. Former President Donald Trump is cutting deeper into President Joe Biden's lead among young voters, according to a new poll. Biden leads Trump 45% to 37% among people ages 18 to 29 in a Harvard Youth poll released Thursday, with 16% undecided. That 8 percentage point margin is much smaller than at this point in the 2020 election. At that time, Biden was leading Trump by 23 percentage points among young people. Yeah, you heard that right. So we're not just comparing the 2020 election to today. No, we are comparing the same poll. And at the same point back in 2020, not the election itself, but the same poll, had Biden beating Trump with young people by 23. The same poll right now has Trump only down by 8. That's a 15-point swing just in, 4 years? That is incredible. And granted, there are plenty of undecideds. That is true. And that's what many people have argued. That, well, these undecided voters, they're going to break for Biden. Of course they will. They're more Democrat. They're going to break for Biden much more than Trump. But even then, Trump is already getting a larger share of the vote with his voter bloc than 2020. And that's why this is critical. This isn't just, oh, well, he's down by only 8, but the undecideds will give Biden the same margin. No. Trump right now, if he just wins a couple of those undecideds, would be at a far higher vote share than he was back in 2020. And that's a disaster for Biden because you can argue that, while yes, in 2020, Biden did do worse with young people. That's true than past Democrats. But him winning them by 23 points when they turned out at far higher rates, that arguably won him the presidency. Of course, with minority turnout and all that, but young people gave Biden the victory. Well, now, these same young people are bailing from him. That's going to cost him. If these voters don't come home to Biden, he is screwed. Because you have universities in places like Madison, Ann Arbor. If these college students just don't vote for the guy, okay, they may not vote for Trump, but if they just don't vote for Biden, his pathway to victory in a state like Michigan, Wisconsin, is much more difficult. Biden's margin widens when the pool is restricted to registered and likely voters, but still, his 19-point lead over Trump among the voters under 30 who are considered likely to turn out is significantly smaller than his 30-point advantage this time 4 years ago. In other words, this poll is saying if turnout is higher, like people that don't usually vote, they vote, that's going to benefit Trump. And for the past 20, 30 years, that's not been the case for Republicans. Usually, they were praying, the Republican Party was praying for low turnout. Because usually, when you had higher turnout, these people that turned out were more Democrat. This time around, it doesn't matter what group it is. It can be African Americans, Hispanics, white people, any voter bloc. Young people, old people, it doesn't matter. The higher the turnout with any group, Trump does better with. Granted, he's not going to win the young vote. No one should expect that. Because you're talking about a group that voted for Biden by like 23 points back in 2020. They're just not going to vote for Trump. But even if Trump does 15 points better with this group, he still loses it by 8 points or so. Let's just say 10. That is bad news for Biden because at that point in time, you're talking about millions of young voters flipping to Trump. Or hell, just not voting at all. Biden holds wide leads among likely voters who are non-white and women, up by 43 points and 33 points over Trump, respectively. He trounces Trump among the higher educated set, leading the presumptive Republican nominee by 47 points among likely voters who are college grads, and 23 points among college students. And that's no surprise. Obviously, younger people that are college students or hell, they are, college graduates, they're going to be way more Democrat. That's a fact. That's every group. But you notice how they say likely. Like, these are the people that are going to vote in every single election. They're going to vote no matter what. I am very curious about what if you expanded the pool of voters like this poll did. Because this poll demonstrates that younger voters that are less likely to vote are favoring Trump. So if you ask the same question with these college grads, the college students, that crowd, I wonder if you get the same trend of like a 15-point over performance with Trump. I am very curious because we have seen this with every voter block. Not 15, 20 points, but we have seen a trend where lower turnout people are just favoring Trump. But Biden's margins are far slimmer or non-existent among other key demographics. He's just 6 percentage points ahead of Trump among likely voters who are young men, according to the poll, and just 3 points ahead among white voters. When it comes to young people without college degrees, Biden and Trump are in a dead heat. And though there are fewer of them, Trump's younger voters are far more enthusiastic with the former president than their peers who are backing Biden, according to the poll. More than 3/4 of Trump voters said they are enthusiastically supporting the Republican, while just 44% of Biden voters said the same. Yeesh. Only 44%. And that's a big problem because this voter bloc is one of the most important for Democrats. If these voters just don't vote, again, they don't have to vote for Trump, but they just don't vote at all, or hell, vote for Jill Stein or something, that's still an L for Biden. These voters just don't like the guy. They're like, whatever. Just because he's a Democrat doesn't mean I'm going to support him. Again, that doesn't mean they're going to vote for Trump, but that's not good that only 44% of young people that support Biden are enthusiastic about him. Now, there are many theories for why this is the case. One theory is, well, he's getting just so old that young people just don't care about him. It's like, okay, he's 81 years old. Why should I vote for this guy? But I really think the biggest problem for Biden is what's happening in Israel. Because guess what? Younger people are far more progressive, especially those that support Biden. And they're not happy with Biden when it comes to what's happening in Israel. They want a ceasefire, they want him to support Palestine, and they don't want aid to Israel. Well, take a guess what Biden is doing. He's trying to still play both sides of the aisle, oh, I'm pro-Israel, but I'm still pro-Palestine at the same time. It's like, yeah, sure, buddy. No one's falling for that. Especially these progressives. They're pissed off with him. And that's why he's doing so bad with his voter bloc. Make no mistake, this is a different youth electorate than we saw in 2020 and 2022, and young voters are motivated by different things. John Della Volpe, polling director for the Harvard Kennedy School Institute of Politics and an expert in polling young voters, said in a statement, "Economic issues are top of mind. Housing is a major concern, and the gap between young men's and young women's political preferences is pronounced," he said. So it's not just Israel, I said that because that's more the progressive voter, but the average young voter that's not a progressive, they're panicking about the economy like, okay, I cannot afford to live. No amount of gaslighting by Biden and Democrats can fix that. These people are suffering, especially housing. They can't afford it. They can't afford to live. They can't afford to move out of their parents' house. It's a mess. Yet Biden thinks, oh, just gaslight people even further, and that's going to somehow change their mind. It's not working. And that's on top of what's happening with progressives being pissed off with the war in Israel. It's a terrible combination. The Harvard Youth Survey is the latest poll to show Trump rising among the nation's youngest voters, another potential warning sign for Democrats whose presidential candidates have been able to successfully court that bloc. Indeed, while Biden's lead is 26 points among likely voters ages 25 to 29, it falls to 14 points among those ages 18 to 24. Yeah, you heard that right. You know the theory that, the older you get, the more conservative you get? No, not here. Not the case at all. In fact, it's the opposite. This poll, among likely voters, shows Trump doing way better with 18 to 24-year-olds. People that just got out of high school, they might be going to college, that voter bloc. He's doing way better with them. This is ahistorical because, yes, it's true that usually the older you got, the more likely you were to support the Republican Party. But now, according to the survey, again, it could be off, but there's been many other surveys to show the same thing. Voters that are just out of high school, they are supporting Republicans at record rates. Hell, even those that are 25 to 29, they still swung a bit Republican. But the biggest swing is coming from 18 to 24-year-olds. In other words, the Zoomers. Still, the survey shows some reasons for concern for Trump, too. Biden's overall lead grows if the former president is convicted in any of his criminal trials, with the Democrat jumping up 10 points among old and young adults, 8 points among registered voters, and 9 points among likely voters. But the chance of Trump actually being convicted is so unlikely. And these polling questions about stuff like this, he's going to be convicted, what would you do? They tend to overstate how big of an impact it would be. Now, obviously, he would do a bit worse. I think everyone agrees with that if he somehow got convicted. But I do question if it's a 10-point swing, like this claims. But even then, that doesn't include Cornel West, Jill Stein, RFK. Them being on the ballot, even if Trump gets convicted, those voters probably just vote for RFK or Cornel West. They're not going to vote for Biden. And that doesn't include any voters that he might be winning right now that think in a couple months, screw this guy, I'm going to vote for Cornel West or Jill Stein. But either way, this poll is a mess for Biden. And it shows Trump is making historical gains with this voter bloc. But that doesn't mean you should be expecting him to win this voter bloc. It's not going to happen. If it does, there's only two reasons for why. One, so many young people voted for RFK, Jill Stein, whoever, that Biden fell so low that Trump was able to win it based off of circumstance. Or, and this is the second one, this could possibly happen, but it's so unlikely, I just don't see it happening. You have enough young people that flip to Trump. You're talking about one of the largest swings we have ever seen. Is that going to happen? Highly doubt it. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.